My parents made me pay rent while my brother lived for free, so I moved out in secret, and what I did next made them regret ever choosing sides. You ever look back on something and realize the actual betrayal wasn't even the thing they did, it was how normal they made it feel? Like, I didn't just wake up one day and go, hey, my parents are treating me like a second-class citizen. It was way more subtle than that. Like, oh, we just thought you'd understand. So here's how it started. I'm 24, graduated college a year ago, started working full-time in graphic design. Nothing crazy, but I bring in decent money. Remote job, stable hours, good team. My parents had always said, and I quote, we'll support you until you're on your feet. Once you're working, we'll talk about rent. Cool, fair enough. So when I got the job, I was like, hey, I'm good to contribute now. And my mom was all smiles and nods like, that's so mature of you. We'll just ask for a small amount each month to help with bills. The amount? $900. For a room. In a house I grew up in, with a shared bathroom and rules like I was still 16. First, I thought it was a joke. I laughed. Literally. But no, they were serious. And okay, I'm not against paying rent. That wasn't the issue. It was the timing, the attitude, the fact that my little brother, 21, no job, gaming 16 hours a day like it was a lifestyle, didn't pay a cent. I asked gently, wait, so what about Alex? And my dad goes, he's still figuring things out. Figuring what out, exactly? Whether he wants to be silver rank or gold in Call of Duty. I let it slide. 'Cause, I didn't want to be that bitter older sibling. But resentment? Oh, it was brewing like black coffee at 3 a.m. A month in, it wasn't just the rent. They wanted me to help with groceries, so I paid. They wanted me to pitch in for utilities, so I paid. Then it was, oh hey, the internet bill is higher this month. Can you cover it? Meanwhile, Alex was downstairs screaming at Twitch chat and leaving moldy bowls in the sink like it was a shared frat house. But when I brought it up, again, Mom sighed like I was the problem. He's going through a lot, she said. You've always been the responsible one. Okay, cool. So I get punished for having my life together? That point, I started to keep receipts. Not just literal ones like Venmo transfers and utility bills, but emotional ones. Every time they treated me like a tenant and him like a guest of honor, I filed it away. Mentally. Quietly. 'Cause I had a plan. And part of that plan was silence. That's the thing they didn't expect from me. They expected confrontation. They expected me to snap, to scream at dinner, to call them out in front of guests, to make it awkward like I always apparently do. But I just shut up. I smiled. I paid the rent and I started packing. Here's the thing, I never signed a lease. It wasn't formal, so technically I didn't need to give notice. And I had a friend, Shiloh, who'd been begging me to move in with her downtown. 2-bedroom, light-filled apartment, split evenly, no BS. She even had a cat. Like, polite, non-destructive one. So I started moving small stuff into my trunk after work. A box of books here, a stack of sweaters there. Mom thought I was decluttering. Alex didn't even notice. The last straw was when I came home from a weekend trip, paid for with my own money, and found my room had been used as a guest space while I was gone. Like someone slept in my bed. They didn't even ask. I just stood there, suitcase still in hand, staring at my throw pillows rearranged like it was an Airbnb. And the kicker? They didn't even wash the sheets. I asked my mom, calmly, hey, did someone sleep in my room? She blinked at me like I was being rude. Oh honey, it was just Aunt Lila. She needed somewhere to stay. Cool. Not like I live here or anything. Not like I pay to live here. Not like there's a fully empty guest room downstairs, which of course is now Alex's streaming room. That night I packed the rest. I loaded my car in silence. Didn't even slam the door. By 6 a.m. the next morning I was gone. And the wildest part? They didn't even call. Before I get into how I flipped the script on my parents' favorites game, I'd love to know, what city, state, or country are you watching from today? Drop it in the comments below. And if stories about quietly getting the last laugh speak to you, hit that like button and consider subscribing so you never miss the next one. Okay, let's get back to it. So, morning after my silent exit, radio silence. Like nothing. No, where are you? No missed calls. No texts. I half expected my mom to pull the whole dramatic you moved out without saying goodbye thing. Or maybe my dad would passive-aggressively drop a, we noticed you've taken a lot of your things. Nope. Nothing. By noon, I started to feel weird. Like, did they not even notice I was gone? I mean, I literally emptied my entire room. Took everything, except the mattress, obviously, because that thing was older than my high school diploma. But my clothes, books, makeup, desk setup, all gone. My closet? Empty. Drawers? Bare. Even the chair was gone. I left behind exactly one thing. A printed note on my pillow that said, thanks for everything. I've moved out. Please forward my mail. And still? Nothing. Day 2? Still nothing. And here's the part that made me want to punch a pillow. On the 3rd day, I get a text from my brother. Y'all, this man texted me. Hey, mom wants to know if you moved out or something. Or something. I replied with, yeah, I moved. Didn't feel like being a tenant in my own home anymore. And he hit me with the most tone-deaf response imaginable. Chill. You didn't have to be all dramatic. Excuse me? I literally left without a single word. No drama. No door slam. No fight. But I'm the dramatic one? Okay. A few hours later, my mom finally called. Voice all gentle and fake casual, like she was trying to play nice. Hi, sweetie. So your brother said you moved out? Yes. Why didn't you tell us you were planning that? I paused, then said super calm. Well, I didn't think I needed to. I'm 24, I've been paying rent here like a tenant, and you already gave my bed to Aunt Lila. Dead silence. Then she hit me with the line that almost made me drop my phone. But we just thought you'd be here until you were really ready to live on your own. I've been paying almost $1,000 a month, Deborah. What do you think I've been doing? Cosplaying independence? I said, I've been ready. You just didn't want to see it. She got quiet again, then gave this long-winded, we didn't mean to make you feel unwelcome speech. Said they were just trying to teach responsibility, and that they didn't charge Alex rent because he's not as strong as you. There it is. The golden child syndrome. You know what's wild? They always leaned on me emotionally growing up, like I was the therapist's daughter, the helper, the she'll be fine one. But the second I stood up for myself and quietly stepped out of the role, now I'm the problem child. Anyway, the guilt trip tour continued. We just miss you already, she said. The house feels different without you. Girl, course it feels different. You lost your in-house therapist, errand runner, and backup grocery sponsor. I said, well, you've still got Alex, and his rent-free lifestyle, so I'm sure it'll be fine. She hung up. No goodbye. No love you. Honestly, it stung. More than I thought it would. But at the same time, it confirmed everything I'd been feeling. They didn't want a daughter, they wanted a convenience. And now that I wasn't making their life easier, I was inconvenient. So be it. Shiloh, my new roommate, greeted me with Thai takeout and a bottle of wine that night. We sat on the couch, her cat climbing all over the pillows, and she said, so, how does it feel being free? I paused, then smiled and said, quiet, but in the best way possible. So 2 weeks into my freedom era, life was starting to feel like mine. No one passive-aggressively telling me to put the leftovers in my fridge. No brother shouting through walls like he was training for a pro esports team. No awkward Sunday dinners where I sat at the table paying to be there. Just me, Shiloh, Spotify playing lo-fi in the background, and her cat, Mr. Pickles, we don't talk about the name, judging me while I unpacked. And honestly, I was thriving. Like I wasn't bawling out, we still split bills and I was careful with my spending, but I finally felt like I wasn't just surviving in someone else's house. I was living. And then, call came. From my mom, which after that last phone hang-up was pretty unexpected. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Picked up, and her voice was super sugary sweet, like the kind that gives you a toothache because you know it's fake. Hi, sweetheart, how are you settling in? No mention of her ghosting me for 2 weeks. No apology. Just fake small talk. I kept it short. Good. What's up? And then, boom, the real reason for the call dropped. So, we were wondering, would you be willing to help Alex with his resume? I literally blinked at the wall. This man, who had not acknowledged my existence unless it involved stealing my snacks or Wi-Fi, now suddenly needed my help? I said, isn't he still figuring things out? She laughed like I was being silly. Well, we just thought you'd be happy to support him. You're so good at that stuff. Pause. I'd been out of that house for 2 weeks and they were already trying to rope me back into being the unpaid life coach? I said, I'm a little busy right now. To maybe suggest he tries Google or something. She paused, definitely not expecting the pushback, and then tried a different angle. It's just, he's applying to this internship and could really use a referral. Something from someone with a real job, you know? Oh no. She did not just try to butter me up and insult me in the same breath. That was her go-to move, by the way. Act like she's complimenting you while throwing a little you owe us reminder under the table. I shut it down gently but firmly. I'm glad he's taking steps, but I'm not getting involved. I've got enough on my plate. She sighed. Like I just told her I couldn't babysit her plants. Not like I was saying no to years of one-sided emotional labor. Well, that's disappointing, she said. But, I guess we'll figure something out. I said, I'm sure you will. Then we hung up. And y'all, that should have been it. But no, because when that didn't work, they tried another angle. A week later, I get this long, dramatic text from my dad, who, by the way, hadn't said more than 5 words to me since I left. He said, we miss having you here. The house feels empty. Maybe we didn't handle things the best way, but family sticks together. Let's talk soon. Where was this energy when I was working 40 hours a week, paying rent, and cleaning up after your golden boy? Where was the family sticks together when you let me go through college working side jobs while Alex figured himself out playing Minecraft for 6 hours a day? I didn't reply, and they noticed, because not even 2 days later I got flowers, like an actual delivery, roses, with a card that said, we love you. We're sorry if we made you feel unappreciated. Please come to dinner next Sunday. Y'all, I wish I were kidding. I even texted Shiloh a photo of the flowers with the caption, I think my parents are trying to romance me back into the trap. She replied, girl, run. That dinner's gonna come with a side of guilt casserole and a second helping of do it for your brother. And she was right. I didn't go, but I did do something else. 'Cause this entire situation, it had been simmering in my chest for months. And if they wanted to play nice now, cool. But I was going to play it smarter. Alright, so let me set the scene. My birthday was coming up. Not just any birthday, my 25th, a milestone, quarter life mark, a whole era. And deep down, I guess I was hoping that maybe my parents would get it together. Like throw something low-key. A dinner. A cake. Something that didn't involve guilt-tripping me or pretending the last few months hadn't happened. Spoiler alert, they didn't plan crap. What they did do was throw a barbecue for Alex. 3 days before my birthday. Yup. Big backyard setup. Invited extended family. Had music, catered food, the whole thing. For what? Congrats on finally applying for an internship. I'm not joking, that was the reason. Not getting the internship. Not starting the job. Just applying. I found out because my cousin tagged me in an Instagram story at the party and I was like, wait, what party? She thought I was there. I wasn't. Nobody invited me. My own family didn't invite me to the celebration 3 days before my birthday for my brother applying to a job. That was the moment it hit me hard. I'd spent years trying to earn the same energy they gave him just for existing. And I was done. Done playing the I'll be understanding daughter. Done being the peacekeeper while they built shrines to Alex's bare minimum. So what did I do instead? I threw a party of my own. Not out of spite, okay, a little out of spite, but mostly because I needed to take my power back. I messaged a few friends, a couple cousins who did still talk to me, and of course Shiloh, and I planned the softest, chillest, best vibes only rooftop picnic party ever. We rented this little spot with string lights, cushions on the floor, portable speakers, the whole Pinterest mood board thing. We had grazing boards, wine in cans, candles that didn't even match but smelled amazing. Shiloh made cupcakes. My friend Jazz brought homemade lemonade with edible flowers in it. Who even is she? I wore this white sundress I'd never had a reason to wear before. And y'all, it was perfect. 'Cause every single person there chose to be there. There were no forced conversations. No, so what's your brother doing? Small talk. No awkward, you're so sensitive digs from aunts I hadn't seen in a year. Just peace. Laughter. People who saw me. And then, because life is messy and apparently enjoys the drama, guess who called me during the party? My mom. I ignored it the first time. She called again. Then again. 5 missed calls. Then she texted. Why are we seeing photos of you at a party on Instagram? You didn't even tell us it was your birthday? I just stared at my phone. I didn't tell them? No, they didn't ask. They didn't check in. Didn't plan anything. Didn't even send a happy early birthday when they hosted a full event 72 hours before it. And now suddenly they were offended they weren't invited to my own healing? I replied with exactly 4 words. You didn't make space. That's it. Just the truth. She left me on red. But later that night, after everyone had gone home, after I'd cleaned up with Shiloh and curled up on the couch with Mr. Pickles asleep on my legs, I checked Instagram again. My mom had posted a throwback photo of me, captioned, Happy birthday to our beautiful daughter. We're so proud of the woman you've become. Y'all, I actually laughed. Not one text. Not a single call that wasn't about the party. Just a post for show. Like she needed the internet to think we were still a picture-perfect family. But I wasn't playing that game anymore. The next morning, I archived the photo on my own page that she was tagged in. I blocked her from stories and unfollowed both of them. So fast forward about a month after my birthday. I'm in full glow-up mode. I'd started freelancing on the side, stacked a couple new clients, even treated myself to a Dyson hairdryer, which yes, was an outrageous purchase but also 10 out of 10 life-changing. Thank you, capitalism. Things were good. Stable. Quiet. No dramatic phone calls, no guilt trips. My inner peace had a Spotify playlist and a meal prep routine. Until Saturday morning. Shiloh and I were just finishing brunch, like real brunch with homemade avocado toast and espresso, not just sad scrambled eggs on paper plates. And then, knock knock knock. Like aggressive knocking. I thought it was Amazon. Shiloh thought maybe a neighbor needed something. She opened the door and froze. Then she turned and gave me this look. You know that look your friend gives you when they don't even have to say it out loud? Yeah, it was my mom. And my dad. Standing in our apartment hallway like they were the Avengers of disappointment. They didn't even know exactly where I lived until now. So I already knew this wasn't gonna be good. I walked over slow, calm, heart pounding in my ears but face fully blank. And I said, how did you get this address? My mom gave that fake smile she always uses when she wants something. We asked your cousin. We thought maybe we could talk in person. Okay, talk about what, exactly? Because I hadn't heard from either of them since the birthday party scandal, also known as me celebrating myself without needing their permission or funding. I stepped outside the door, didn't invite them in, and folded my arms. What do you want? They looked at each other. And then my dad, who had never once in his life been the talker, starts. We feel like this distance between us has gone too far. I didn't say anything. He continued. And we're worried. About Alex. There it is. Not about me. Not about how I'm doing. Nope. They came to talk about Alex. Apparently he'd been spiraling. Got rejected from that internship. Stopped trying. Started getting angry and moody and distant. My mom said he keeps saying you abandoned him, that you're being cruel. I literally had to stop myself from laughing in her face. Because cruel? Y'all charged me rent, made me share a bathroom with him and gave away my bed. And now I'm cruel? I asked, why are you telling me this? She blinked. Well, maybe you could talk to him. Encourage him. He listens to you. I leaned back against the wall and just said it, flat and honest. No. Their faces dropped like I just cussed them out. I didn't even raise my voice. Just said no, and I watched the shift happen. My mom's eyes went sharp. You don't have to be spiteful, she said. And that was it. I said, this isn't spite. This is self-respect. You didn't want a daughter. You wanted a fixer. And I've retired. She opened her mouth, probably to start crying or launch into some emotional monologue, but I cut her off. Look, I'm glad you came. 'Cause now you've seen where I live. How I live. That I'm fine. Thriving even. But this little pop-up visit to get me to plug the hole in your mess? Not happening. My dad mumbled something like, we didn't mean to make you feel unwanted, and I just nodded. Cool. That's your memory of it. But my memory is much longer, and it remembers every ignored birthday, every time I was told to be grateful for less than what you gave Alex without question. So I ended it there. Take care of yourselves. I'll take care of me. Shiloh walked over and handed me a cupcake from the fridge like it was a medal. You okay? I nodded, and said, for the first time, I really think I am. So, you know how every extended family has that one chaotic group chat? Ours was called The Crew. Don't ask, I didn't name it. It had like 18 people in it. A mix of cousins, aunts, uncles, and our grandma who only ever sent gifts of minions holding cake. Usually it was just boring stuff. Wedding updates, photos of babies, random Happy Friday bitmojis from my Aunt Diane, until I became the main character, and not in a fun way. About a week after the parental doorstep ambush, I started getting weird vibes from my cousins. One stopped replying. Another left my message on read after we'd been planning a weekend thing. Then I woke up to 47 unread messages in the crew. First one from Aunt Monica, who, let's be real, always had something to say. It's a shame when people think they're too good for their family. Oh, here we go. Next few messages were just gifs and confused emojis. Then came the actual bomb. My mom posted a full paragraph, like a Facebook-style paragraph. She said something like, we've tried everything. All we wanted was to keep our family together. But some people are so wrapped up in their egos they forget where they came from. I guess paying your way through life gives you the right to forget the hands that fed you. Bro, I swear I almost choked. Forget the hands that fed me? Y'all charged me rent, made me clean up after your golden boy, gave away my freaking bed, and now I'm being painted as the arrogant daughter who thinks she's better than everyone? Girl, be serious. But I didn't say anything. I just left the chat, which apparently triggered a meltdown, 'cause within hours I started getting DMs from cousins. Half were like, hey, I get it. That was messed up. The other half were like, you really hurt your mom. You should talk to her. One of my cousins, Jess, the only one who's always been neutral, texted me privately. Heads up, your mom's been calling everyone crying, saying you abandoned the family. I just stared at my phone. Abandoned? I gave them everything. Money, time, patience, silence. And the second I stopped bleeding for them, I was abandoning them? No, I wasn't the one who changed the story. They just didn't like that I stopped playing the role they wrote for me. But still it hurt. 'Cause this wasn't just drama anymore. It was isolation. And that hit deep. Even if they were toxic. Even if the narrative they were spinning was completely backwards. They were still my family. And that kind of rejection, it does something to you. I spent that night crying on Shiloh's floor. She sat next to me, handed me tissues, and didn't say anything until I finally whispered. They're rewriting the whole thing like I'm the villain. And she said, that's what people do when they're scared of being exposed. Then she pulled up her laptop and started typing. Okay, we're fixing this. Not for them. For you. What do you mean? I sniffled. She turned the screen so I could see. And y'all, she was designing me a website, a digital portfolio of my work, my design projects, my story. You're gonna shine so bright they won't be able to rewrite you, she said. And that became the seed of everything that came next. Because if they were gonna treat me like I was invisible, I was gonna make it impossible to ignore me. I added a blog later, just mini posts about design tips, creative burnout, and yeah, the occasional how to work with clients who think exposure is a form of payment rant. I didn't expect much, it was mostly for me. Take back some narrative. To have something solid I could point to and say, this is me, this is mine. But the universe apparently decided it was time to stir the pot. 'Cause 2 weeks after the site went live, one of my blog posts, just a casual write-up about being undervalued as a young designer, got picked up on LinkedIn. Someone shared it, then someone else, then a bigger creator reposted it, and suddenly my inbox was full. Queries, messages, opportunities. Within 3 months, I'd booked 2 major freelance contracts, both with monthly retainers that matched my entire old salary. I was doing remote branding work for an eco-skincare startup and a fashion line in Copenhagen. From my apartment, in fuzzy socks with oat milk lattes, I updated the site with those projects, kept the blog going. My TikTok even got a little traction when I shared a day in the life video that blew up. It wasn't famous, but I was visible. And you want to guess what happened next? Ding ding. My mom found the website. How do I know? Because she emailed me through the contact form. Like a client. Y'all, I wish I were making this up. She filled out the inquiry section. Left her name and everything. said, "Hi sweetheart, I came across your site and I'm so proud of what you've done. Would love to chat sometime, maybe coffee?" I just sat there staring at the message like, this woman went through my business page instead of texting me? It was giving. Oops, I see you shining, time to circle back. And it didn't stop there. Suddenly my aunt commented on my TikTok saying, "So proud of you. Your mom showed us your website at dinner." Excuse me? The same people who called me selfish? Who clutched their pearls when I left the group chat? Now they're broadcasting my success like it's a family achievement? Okay. I didn't reply. But they didn't stop. My dad emailed me too, from his work email, with an attachment. It was Alex's resume. Yep. Subject line. "Maybe you could help your brother out now that you're doing so well." I actually laughed. Not even out of cruelty, it was just the irony. Because when I was in that house, doing well wasn't enough. I was responsible for the dishes, the bills, the emotional labor. My success didn't mean anything unless it served them. But now that I'd stepped back, built my own thing, found peace, now I was valuable again. I stared at Alex's resume. And for a moment I did feel a flicker of guilt. 'Cause he's not evil. He's just spoiled, enabled, coddled to the point that reality hit him like a brick wall. But I wasn't going to throw myself under that wall to break his fall. So I replied, "Hey, I'm glad you're reaching out. I hope Alex finds what he's looking for. But I'm not in a place where I can take that on right now." That was it. Simple, polite, boundaried. Did I get a thank you? Nope. But what I did get, a week later, was a DM from someone I never expected to hear from. My grandma, the minion gift-sending, cake-posting legend herself. She said, "I just want you to know, I see what you're doing, and I'm proud of you. Don't let anyone guilt you back into the dark." And I swear I cried harder at that than any of the family mess before, 'cause someone got it. And it wasn't the people I'd spent years trying to prove myself to. It was the one who always just quietly watched, and finally said something real. So plot twist incoming. Right when I thought I had fully detached, like emotionally filed them all under caution, do not engage, something happened that flipped the whole board. My cousin Amanda was getting married. She's the chill one. The one who's always been kind of Switzerland during family drama. Neutral, kind, and the only person who actually texted me happy birthday when everyone else went full ghost mode. So when she invited me to her wedding, I said yes, 'cause I actually wanted to be there for her. And also because I was curious. Curious to see how the family would act with me back in the same room. Curious if they'd still whisper or fake hug me or, worst case, pretend like none of it happened. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. Amanda knew, obviously, but I didn't RSVP on the family thread. Didn't post. Just booked the flight, packed a navy dress that made me feel like a soft dagger, and went. The wedding was beautiful. Like Pinterest board perfect. Fairy lights, open bar, string quartet during the vows. Amanda did not come to play. And for the first hour it was fine. I stayed by the dessert table. Talked to Amanda's college friends. Smiled at people who recognized me but didn't know whether to hug me or call security. Then, I saw them. My parents. Standing near the cocktail station, laughing with an uncle like we hadn't just gone full Cold War mode for the past 6 months. My mom saw me before my dad did, and I swear her smile froze halfway through, like she couldn't decide if she wanted to wave or sprint away. I gave a small nod. No wave. No approach. Just acknowledgement. Because if we were strangers now, let's keep it real. But apparently that was too much peace for the universe to handle. Because halfway through the reception, right after Amanda's first dance, my mom came up to me. Alone. I was sipping champagne near the photo booth when she walked over in full Mother of the Exile mode. She said, "Hi." Then came the performance. "I'm glad you came, it's really good to see you." And I'm just standing there like, okay, and? She started talking fast. You know when someone's trying to keep the energy light but there's panic behind their eyes? That. I saw the blog post you wrote last month, the one about boundaries. It was interesting. Oh, so she had been watching. Even when I blocked her from my stories, she found a way. Classic. Then she asked the question I didn't expect. She said, "Do you hate us?" Not in a sad, soft way. In a tired way. Like someone bracing for the worst. And I didn't lie, but I didn't throw a grenade either. I said, "No, but I finally love myself more." She blinked. Looked like she might cry. But didn't. She just nodded. Then whispered, "I miss you. Even if I don't always know how to show it." And that got me. 'Cause it was something. I said, "That's good to know." Then walked away. Not to be dramatic, I just literally couldn't handle more. My heart was thudding, my hands were cold, and I needed air. But that moment was the turning point. Not because we suddenly became besties again, but because I realized something. They can regret it. They can feel sorry. They can even try to reconnect. But I don't owe them anything just because they finally noticed I'm gone. Forgiveness is one thing. Re-entry? That's earned. After the reception, I didn't get a follow-up text. No, so proud of you, no, let's talk soon. And honestly, I was okay with that. Because what I finally realized, standing on that rented dance floor in a thrifted navy dress, holding a half glass of warm champagne, was this. Closure isn't some perfect, cinematic moment. It's not a big speech, it's not a family therapy breakthrough, and it's not your mom crying and finally saying, "I get it now." Sometimes it's just you. Choosing to stop opening wounds just because someone else refuses to clean theirs. Choosing not to show up to every guilt trip invitation. Choosing silence over arguments you've already had in your head 1,000 times. It's choosing peace, even if it's lonely sometimes. Even if you still get that little pang when your cousin posts photos of family brunch and you're not there. Even if you secretly still wish your mom would text just to say, "I miss you." No agenda. That's real. Peace is knowing you don't have to shrink just to keep someone else comfortable. Peace is eating lunch in your own kitchen, your own, without worrying if someone's gonna ask you to pitch in for utilities while your brother plays Fortnite in the basement for free. Peace is watching your business grow, seeing your name on something you built. That's where I live now. I live in a space that smells like eucalyptus candles and garlic from last night's pasta, with plants I picked, a cat I didn't ask for but now adore, and friends who see me, not for what I can give but for who I am. So if you've ever felt like the overlooked one, the you'll be fine one who got left behind when it was finally your turn to be cared for, just know you don't have to stay there. You're allowed to choose peace. You're allowed to build something where you matter. No grand finale needed. Just soft, steady steps toward the life they never thought you could make without them. But you did. And what you've built, it's yours. Really appreciate you listening today. If you like the story, don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing. And if you've been through something similar, I'd really love to hear it. We're stronger when we share. See you in the next one.